Hey everyone, welcome back to another Godzilla Battle Line video, and today we are talking about kids, not the humankind, the ship from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah 1991. It was just added to the game literally like 24 hours ago, maybe a little bit more than that, and these are my first impressions on the unit, so I'll give you first what it does, my very first impressions, and then if you want to stick around, I will have a breakdown of everything that the community has found out about kids and noticed about kids that can help you make a decision if you want to keep it in your deck or not. So, first things first, do I think kids is meta? Not right now. I think it definitely has potential later on. There are a ton of people in the community using it very well and to good effect. There's people getting tons of wins with kids. However, I think right now it's a little too low in most people's rosters, and when it gets to like level 15 or 20, it's going to really start dominating. I don't think it's going to be meta, but I think it's going to be way more useful. To me right now, it seems more like a gimmick, kind of like here use a absolute zero cannon, how it's just like a one-time thing. I think you're going to really be using kids for like one solid push. It's a little too expensive to routinely use it, so you're going to use it for like one gimmick move and call it a day like I did right here on the screen. I just got all my units together, hit the kids on them, threw them across the map, and I'm going to win the match right there. So, kids, I said that it has to get, to level 20 and stuff like that for it to be more useful. That is because at level 1, kids' teleportation time is 8 seconds. So within those 8 seconds and those characters go ghostly on the other side of the screen, your opponent can see it. When your characters teleport and you can see it, they can see it. So it has a very strong telegraph of what is going on. Like Kiryu drops missiles when he comes down. Mogera has that little dirt patch when he's moving through. Kids, you can totally see where the units are about to be dropped. So at 8 seconds, this gives your opponent a lot of time to build energy and prepare for a big push. However, if kids has the 3-second teleportation time or like a 4-second because you're leveling it up, this gives your opponent significantly less time to deal with kids. Do I think this makes it any better? I think for the 6 costs, not really, but I definitely think that it's going to help you out with your bigger pushes because it's going to give you time to send up some support units, stuff like that, and your opponent's not going to be able to just instantly just drop whatever they want to counter it because they're going to have like almost 10 seconds. So, pros and cons of kids. Let me start with the cons. So, one of the cons is that when the units get teleported in that ring, which you'll see in a little bit, they can be hurt. So if you're planning on using kids to have your evolution units get teleported somewhere else, if you're not quick enough on the draw, they'll still die. If you have Biolante moving through the map and King Caesar's coming on in, if you use kids at the wrong moment and that King Caesar still makes contact with your Biolante, it's gonna kill him and you're gonna teleport air. It happened to me twice yesterday, so it's definitely something to keep in mind. This animation right here on screen, with that ring, they can still be damaged. And then this animation right here, where they're transparent, they can be moved by other units. So if you have a G89 coming through, he's just going to push those units out of the way. A Gigan, someone used Gigan on me yesterday, and he just ran straight into my Biolante and pushed her out of the way. So that's something to keep in mind, that those characters count as physical objects on the board. They can't be damaged, but they can be moved around. So if you're playing against a smart player who knows what they're doing, they might try to move those units around so there's not an extremely big push like the one I just had right there on screen. Next, AoE is a major counter to this, like a major counter. You saw how I had Super X, Batra, and Biolante all grouped up. Someone could have Sanded that. Someone could have used Mega Gearus as slow on that. Someone could use Hedera or King Ghidorah to take me down. Biolante to take my units down. This is the biggest problem with the usage of kids. You're not going to want to just send one unit. I've had a lot of people send up, in our games yesterday and today, like they'll send one G89 or they'll send one G21 and they're like, oh, this is the trump card. No. I can see your card coming a mile away when it's a ghost. I can just drop an AoE. I have Sande in my deck. I have Biolante in my deck ready to go. As soon as a unit like G89 drops, I just drop down Biolante, I Sande them, and then I Manila them. And that G89 basically never touches my leader. Unless they are right up on my leader, they will never touch it. So something to keep in mind is that AoE and a lot of it is going to absolutely nullify whatever push you are making with kids unless all your units are extremely powerful. And that might be the case, so you might be seeing some success regardless of AoE. But for lower ranked players, definitely something to look out for with that. I had something else to say about kids and the teleporting, but I can't remember now, so it's probably not important. Oh, I do remember now actually. It is very important. Kids will teleport your units about 3 spaces up. That is the distance that it'll go. So you can see on my screen that my units were a little bit halfway, and then it brought them just across the river in enough range to hit the Space Godzilla. You got to plan when you're going to use kids, because if you're using kids on your units from the back of the map, congratulations, you just brought your units up to halfway on the map. If your units are halfway on the map, you're going to bring them pretty close to the leader. My favorite thing is using kids when my units are on the enemy leader, and it just deletes the aggro and it puts them behind them. So that's a ton of fun, but when you're planning on using kids, and the placement is super important, because it's only going to bring them up about 3 spaces. So you gotta decide, is that 6 energy worth 3 spaces of movement speed? Are you using slow units like Anguirus or G89 and you want to move them up? You're going to have to, consider something like that. Pros with this unit: it is actually super insane for PvE. In my opinion, we haven't gotten to use it in PvE yet, but just being able to take your units and move them behind other units is something that is going to be super useful, especially for some of the harder missions. Because, using Mogera and Kiryu on the enemy leaders in the PvE stuff is super useful and super helpful for clearing difficult missions. I think if you use kids to just, leapfrog your units, around the enemy, I think you'll see some success there for sure in PvE. Additionally, even in PvP, I think this is a decent unit to put into your deck. I don't think it's going to be something you're relying on constantly like Sunday. Sunday's 2 energy, you can use it all the time. This is 6 energy, so any comboing with kids is going to be very expensive. I don't think I would use it in a deck without the energy base. I used energy base once in this match. In a few of the matches that I've been playing, I'm pretty much throwing out energy base whenever I can, because I'm trying to use kids to teleport a G89 or a Biollante or a Batra, and I don't think use G89 in this battle, but that's what I've been doing. Some of the units that I've been trying to teleport are G89, Anguirus, Biollante, Batra, Super X on accident. Anguirus is good for the teleport. Burning Godzilla, if you can get him charged up and closer to the leader, and then you teleport him right onto the leader, that explosion is going to be massive. So that is something to keep in mind as well. I know I went through a lot of the negatives of kids in this video. Definitely outweighed the positives, but I just want to make it clear that I do not think kids is a bad unit. The cons in this video are just things for you to be aware of. I don't necessarily think they make or break the unit. A lot of people are saying kids is almost unusable because of the cost and the time to teleport, but if you commit to kids, the spaceship, if you commit to the ship, I think that you will see benefit. Maybe not this season, but next season for sure. The same way that Super X, wasn't really used the first season that it was out because it was too low, but then now it's in like every deck pretty much. I think kids could be the same way. I don't think it's going to be a staple in any decks like the Super X, but I definitely think it's a fun gimmick that is kind of viable and you can definitely mess around with and have fun. It's being used all the time, obviously, right now because it just came out and people are experimenting with it, but there are a ton of good decks to use, like a high health Mothra Leader deck, so you could pop a Mothra Leader heal when your units get teleported. You could use Psychic Chorus on your units to keep them alive through AoEs. You could use Fire Rodan. You could have like an all healer kind of deck with the whatever this is called, the kids, and use a high health character like G89 or Anguirus and keep them alive on that big push. So there's a lot of experimenting you can do with this unit. Do I think it is something that you could slot into any deck? I don't think so. I think you kind of have to build your strategy maybe around one big push with kids and then just play the game normally. But, it's only been a few hours. It's only been like 24, 25 hours. Maybe even more. Maybe like 28 at this point with kids. So there's still a lot of experimentation left to go. But I just wanted to give you my initial thoughts and a lot of the things that the community has observed with this unit. Overall, I like it a lot. I don't think I'm going to be using it too much after I finish its 25 wins challenge, but I'm definitely going to be upgrading it on the sly so that I can use it in later seasons and see how it is doing there. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching and sticking around this whole video. I will catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.